Robert, how you doing, Robert?
Hanging in there, my
You
brother.
hanging in there?
I ain't gonna complain today.
I ain't gonna complain. You know where you at?
I'm at Lewis's house, the
Ain't-
creator of Ain't No
Ain't
Days
no
Off.
days
Ain't no
off.
Days Off. Creator of Ain't No Days Off.
No,
What's
we
going
don't.
on,
We don't
Lewis?
get days. Sometimes
No.
we do.
But listen, it's a pause, not a stop.
That's right. Ain't no days
Ain't no
off.
days
So
off.
it's a pause,
It's
not
a
a
pause,
stop.
not a stop.
All
You
right.
know, this ain't the red light zone.
Man, you looking fly.
I thank you.
I
Lewis,
might
but-
need to go change.
Well, no, you don't need to just come shop at my closet. Ed said, come take some of my stuff. Oh, well.
Yes, sir. So you want to get started?
Let's get started, Brother Lewis.
All right. What's your name and where you from?
I am Robert, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. But before being a grateful recovering addict, I am a child of God.
All right.
Come to that true identification first. And I'm a grateful recovering addict, and by His grace and mercy, I'll have 18 months again, December the 24th.
18 months.
Christmas
Woo!
Eve.
We do recover.
We do recover.
Yes,
we do.
Where you from?
UCLA.
UC. I don't even know.
No. Upper Conway, Lower Anum.
Upper Conway, Lower Anum. Man, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I never heard it like that.
Yeah, I said with a brother. I grew up there in Anum from 1968 until probably, I don't know, till I got into my mid-30s.
All right. Can you briefly describe your childhood?
The youngest of 10 children, between mom and dad, 6 guys, 4 girls. But dad was a Rolling Stone.
Okay.
He had a couple outside kids, but biologically that I know of, total of 10.
Okay.
Moved there in 68 when was an armed baby, I've been told. Graduated high school 87. Got married at an early age 2 years after high school. Happily divorced in 94. Separated in 94, happily divorced in 98.
Okay.
And then I went into the street.
Okay. Okay. So like how, as far as, was it academically wise? Like what was going on while you was it any chaos? Or?
Oh, okay. Academically wise, I was the only one that was able to graduate high school out of the brothers and sisters.
Out of 10.
Out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. And so because growing up, I always wanted to be somebody.
Okay.
I thought I wanted to be somebody because there was a lot of dysfunctionality in the family.
Okay.
With the older brothers, not so much the sisters, but the older brothers, where they were labeled drunks, the town drunk. This was before I ever knew anything about addiction. They were alcoholics were too pretty of a term to call it.
Yeah.
Drunks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going at? Drunks. And so, but growing up, like I said, a lot of dysfunctionalities, and I just knew I wanted to do something better with my life.
Okay.
So I made ambition to go ahead and finish high school, and I graduated the top half of my class. There were only 3 blacks that ended up graduating out of all the peers that we grew up with, and I received the highest academic scores for African American student out of the 3 blacks.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I felt I was on the right track. But then Brother Lou, I grew up too fast. I had to grow up too fast.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So still in your childhood, your mom and dad, how were they like as parents?
Very supportive. Not really so much religious, but spiritual. And hardworking. Mom was more physical, maternal. Pop was more spiritual, paternal.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But mom was spiritual maternal as well. But Pop, you know how the old folks back in the day would say, I take the Bible and beat it across your head. Pop probably wanted to do that. So you imagine that man with 10 children?
Well, yeah, it was.
Thank you. And then growing up on a farm too, Brother Lou. But we made do. We wasn't rich, but we wasn't too destitute as well.
So everybody received their equal love and care.
Yes, it was tough, but we ate what was provided before us, like some of these wildlife animals, beer, raccoon.
Okay. On the farm.
On the farm.
That's expected.
That's expected. You either to starve or
if it crossed the yard, it's dinner.
As they said with the Beverly Hills Billy, you kill it, we grill it. So basically, but if I had a choice, I would have chose differently. But growing up, we had to eat what our parents could provide for us. So it
was different for us. Like when they put it on the table, you eat. They say you eat it before it eat you. Yeah, that's how we grew up.
Or go to bed hungry.
It wasn't after dinner was cooked making an extra McDonald's run.
No, it was not.
It was none of that.
McDonald's was not in or at that time.
Yeah.
Finally got one there. Well, they finally got one there a few years ago.
So growing up, there was love, care, and all that stuff.
Well, it's just that it was hard fighting for me. I felt it was hard fighting for space, or because of a large family.
Okay,
but the love was there. Especially, if someone had to try to take advantage of a family member, then the whole you'd had to fight the whole family.
Okay, you had to fight y'all.
Yeah, you had to fight the tree jumpers because they would come out the trees. You know what I mean?
And that ain't in the family. I mean, it used to be if you touch one, everybody's fault.
You had to fight everybody.
But now everybody go their separate ways.
But you know what? It's all about called growing in development, Lou.
Okay.
Because violence back then ain't like the violence it is now.
Right.
The gun wars and all this other crap. When we were growing up, they didn't have metal detectors in school.
No,
they didn't have metal detectors.
There wasn't nobody doing everything that they doing in the schoolhouse either.
Exactly. If we had an argument with our classmates, we fight it out one day and still played the next day.
That's right.
But it's so much different than it is today.
A lot of discipline was in the homes back then.
Exactly.
Discipline
Thank you.
Home,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We were scared to do something in school. We know what waited at home.
And you remember, all because before we got home, our parents had already known about it.
Already knew about it. Right.
They already done told that somehow or another it got home before we got home.
You know how scared I used to be when I cut up in class and I knew they had called my mama, but my mama was at work and I get home before she did. You know how frightened that was waiting on her. You know how frightened as a kid. You know how scary that was.
I do know. But that's how we try to stay on the good side of the street.
Man.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But especially we had teachers like I remember when Miss Best, they made those old teachers made students try to learn and pay attention. Even pouring, like if you fell asleep in class, she'd go get those brown napkins, paper towels, whatever, and pour water right down your ear and wake you up. Yes. So totally different change.
So listen, I hear the love, the joy, the care, and all that. So was there any challenges you faced growing up?
Yes.
Any trauma and all that growing up?
The one challenge is acceptance, not so much from the family dynamic, but acceptance of myself.
Okay.
Because I always knew I was different, not just academically wise, but sexual identification as wise as well.
Okay.
Because I knew I was gay when I was a kid.
Okay.
But growing up in a small town, you just couldn't put that out there.
It's not acceptable.
No, and not being black either. You see what I'm saying? You just couldn't put that out there. And so I don't know. I felt I needed to hide me in order to be accepted.
Okay.
And then that's why I didn't learn to accept myself as well.
Okay.
Which spiraled into an adult and found the world of addiction.
Okay.
And so you know how that can go.
So wait. So as a black man in a tight-knit community, a large family,
yeah.
you knew you was gay, but you couldn't express it like you wanted to express it.
Basically I had to conform to the norm.
The norm.
The so-called norm of
chasing women.
Yes, and not only that, chasing dreams that was out of my reach as a young man because I thought they were unreachable.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Chasing everything but what my spirituality required me to chase, which was the love of God, which still is the love of God. So, but it was hard, Lou, and growing up in a small town.
So did you we're gonna get to the addiction in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So did you come out the closet before your addiction or in your addiction?
Before and during.
Before and during. You came out a little bit like you peeked out.
I peeked out, but I was afraid to step out.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why it goes back to the piece of acceptance. You see what I'm saying? People pleasing before I ever knew what people pleasing entail.
People pleasing.
Yes.
Well, let's talk. What is people pleasing?
Putting everybody else before yourself. I mean, to me, it was like, doing everything else for everybody else and taking myself out of the equation.
Ain't that draining?
That's draining, not just physically, but mostly spiritually. And it's good to have love for other people, but it's cliche says, love others as you would love yourself. Yeah. But see, I took myself out of the equation, so to speak.
How about you trying to please everybody else and you miserable and unhappy and sad?
But you put on a mask.
But you put that mask
exactly.
on. I think they say you fake it till you make it.
But sometimes, and some of us, God forbid, did not make it.
So a lot of people didn't make it.
Yeah, trying to fake it because that we've heard in media how some have committed suicide. Yeah. Trying to fake it till they make it, but never made it because they was faking it.
It don't work like that.
No. And the cliche that they taught us at college, right? To thine own self be true.
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 And you know what else we can add to it?
Well, tell them, say that to them. I like
but that. But know thy truth.
Yeah.
To thine own self be true. But know thy truth.
But know thyself. It's a freedom about it.
It really is, brother.
It's the freedom about it because when you why is it a freedom about it?
Because it's growing. As you said before, and I've heard you share this many times, you don't have to feel validated by who?
Nobody.
You
don't gotta. I mean, I used to like that validation. It's good. We like when people, you're doing good. Keep up the good work. Yes. And then today, after doing some work, like I don't need that validation. Do you need it?
I don't need it. I hate the day that I felt I had to have it because that's where the mask was still being put on.
Okay.
But being validation is when I feel that we are proud of ourselves through the accomplishments or the non-accomplishment. We still live inside. You live inside of Lou, right?
Okay.
And I live inside of Rob.
Okay.
That's validation enough.
That's validation enough.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. So you finished school. Only 1 out of 10 to graduate.
Yes. Graduated in 1987. I'm in high school.
Okay. So you finished school. What happened after school?
After school, I graduated in 87. And
you graduated when?
1987.
Okay.
I'm telling my age here. Then I got married in 1989. God blessed us with a daughter. She's 33 years of age today. I mean, not today, but this year. This year. She actually came to church with me and Ed today. And then God blessed us with 2 grandkids, 11-year-old granddaughter and a 7-year-old grandson.
Grandkids are awesome.
Ain't it so? You hear me?
So what happens is we get to do all the things when we running the streets with ours. Then we get these grandkids and we get to do it all
over again. But do it this time to the best of our ability, a little bit better.
Do it a little bit.
Yeah, supply a little bit more than we receive.
My grandson never seen me use.
Really?
He never. One day he'll grow up and I'll tell. We might have that conversation, but it makes me feel good. He never seen me in act of addiction.
Oh, right.
Like he never asked for something and I wasn't able to give it to him. Like, and that makes me feel good.
Makes you feel good.
It does.
And my story is different with yours through unprocessed emotional and spiritual enactments. They never seen me use, but children are very, what's the word? They're very peculiar these days. My granddaughter, not so much my grandson, but my granddaughter could tell when I had relapsed that my whole personality had changed. Yes, kids are very precocious. You see what I'm saying,
yes.
Lou? Yeah, they're very precocious. So they can tell if Grandpa Lou or Grandpa Robert personality or our demeanor is totally different from what they saw from the beginning, you know.
So they know when we change.
Oh, they know when we change. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Smart.
Good.
So so you finished school, you got married, had kids.
Yep. And then separated, like I said before, and then divorced.
Why did you divorce?
Because it came to terms that I started to develop me.
You started to find Robert.
I started to find
that
Robert.
Validation that started. You didn't need it no more.
No, well, not so a validation, but
you chose happiness.
I decided to find out more about me and get out of that rush road that I got myself into. I felt I rushed into life too quickly, Lou, because after high school, I got accepted to Southeastern University in Washington, D.C. But I didn't go because being from a small town and going to a big city, scared, you know, because I didn't know how to actually feel my way through the change of a demographic, you know, from living to a small town to a big city and didn't have any family members there. You see what I'm saying? But I got accepted to Southeastern University in Washington, D.C., but then I decided not to go, and then that's when I met my ex-wife and decided to just go ahead and get married. But see, we was living on a farm too, and so the changing environment came about where we had to relocate, you know, because the farmer passed away, and then we had to get off the farm and find our own way. It was like when the eagle stared at the nest, the little birds had to get out and learn how to fly on their own. So we always had to learn to get out and fly on our own. And basically, that's what I did. And I felt I rushed into life too quickly, and then life rushed me.
Okay.
Because that's what I, you know, basically everything detonated.
Okay, so you get a divorce. When did the drugs come in?
Right after I got basically divorced, because I think I was like late 20s, you know, and so I felt like I missed a part of the growing years, you know, what do you call it, the growing pain years, and so and if they try to recapture some of the lost time that I felt I had misplaced, and so I hit the street, but then the street hit back even harder.
So there was no drugs before your divorce?
No.
Okay.
If we did recreational stuff, but it was controlled. Because being a productive young adult, you know, a father, family man, still had the desire to do something better with my life as I grew up. But then when that point of freedom came, find myself being single again, snap, I can just, you know, snap, crackle, and pop.
All right,
you know? Yeah.
So so where were you? What were you doing when you tried your first drug?
The one that actually took me beyond myself?
Yes.
That one. Okay. I forgot to say I got divorced and I hit the party scene, and then I was somewhere around Myrtle Beach, and then I got introduced to cocaine. Yes, but then I thought I could manage it as well until it elevated to harder substances.
Okay, so how long did you do cocaine?
I don't know, probably a little bit over a year, and then I lost a job that I had at a golfing resort.
Okay, but
I did during that time. Now, before I got introduced to that, I became their very first employee of the month. You know, because of the work ethics, and then when that then I got introduced to the cocaine.
How did the cocaine make you feel when you first did it?
It made me feel different. It took me outside of myself. It made me feel like I was a whole new person. I believe like damn Aladdin from a whole new world. But it did become a whole new world. But lo and behold, I didn't know it was going to be a world of devastation. Though,
so from the so you did your cocaine, took you to a whole nother world, Aladdin's world, and did you knew right then when you did it that you were definitely going to do it again?
I resisted it much as I could, but like I say, you know, being single and stuff during that time, I felt it was a part of the party norm. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You know, party on the weekends, but then the weekends became weekdays.
Spilled over into the week.
Yes, the weekends became weekdays,
and this is cocaine.
This is just cocaine, and then it got to the point where deals were made and finding ways and means to get more.
Okay. Are you still working?
Yes. Not at the golf resort.
No, not at the golf course, but doing your whole cocaine.
Yes. I was working till I got fired.
Okay.
Because the finding ways and means to get more led me to do some despicable things. Stealing from the company and stuff, or like, you know, even stealing beer and stuff, because I was service assistant, getting beer and stuff out the cooler, you know, taking it home and stuff, getting hooked up with other users who taught me how to manipulate the system to get pain pills in order to trade over. You see, you know how this thing can go, the finding ways and means of getting more. And so then that came about, and then it came to the point where I lost the vehicle I had. I had a Ford Taurus SHO.
Okay.
Yeah, a super high output vehicle, and it was cut too. But then when I did so much cocaine, I high driving, lost control of the car, ran into the ditch. It blew the motor and never got the car back. And so that ended my transportation to get to work. And so I ended up losing the job. Okay.
So you don't have a job no more, but you got a habit.
Thank you. A high habit.
And you ain't, and your job was your income, which supplied your habit. So now you ain't got the job, you ain't got the money, you just got a habit.
No, just got a habit.
How did you continue your habit?
Okay, meeting up with different kinds of people, and finding out how they supported their habit, and then it transpired into, like I say, once again, finding ways and means to get more.
What were some of those ways?
Shoplifting, shoplifting, where I thought I had become a professional shoplifter. But you can't not if your ass get caught. And I got caught plenty of times. So that, stealing from family members, you know, forgery, writing checks, credit card fraud and all that stuff. You name it, I probably most likely done it and sometimes got away with it.
Okay.
Not guaranteed I did all the time. But if I did get away with it, I didn't get away from the disastrous feelings.
So we're still just talking about, you're doing all this and we're still just talking about cocaine.
Yes.
Okay. So like, did you continue on like that, or did you try to get some help? Or find some balance?
No. I continued on because I felt like I was still in search of finding Robert.
Okay.
You know, because listen, I'm not gonna give you my nickname, but you know it. I lived my nickname.
I'm gonna use your nickname for when I advertise stuff. I know your nickname.
I know you do.
Well, I'm gonna use it when I do your snippet, when I put it out there.
Are you going to ask permission for
I am going to ask permission.
You're asking me now?
Can you give me permission now?
Yes, I will.
All right, thank you.
It's honest, it's about being honest. So, but I lived my nickname, which I graduated Robert, but then afterwards, I lived that nickname. You see what I'm saying?
You say that nickname. Can you see it?
Do I really have to?
No.
I'm gonna let you
All right, go. That nickname, though.
Okay, and so I lived that nickname, and I accumulated a lot of other nicknames too while I was out there dipping, dapping, scheming, and conniving. What? And so, but that's what I'm saying. Different. It was a branch of different personality with me. All because I was still in search of finding the truth of me, Robert. And so
when did you go from, what was your drug of choice
after the cocaine,
after the cocaine?
then I told you about the pills, right? I never did.
The pill was
The
like
pills
in the
was ju-
beginning.
The
to
pills
get
was
the-
just a
yeah, will and deal.
conducive to get the cocaine. And
Okay.
then after the cocaine, I was schooled in how to convert cocaine to crack, and then
Woo.
how to purchase the crack on my own without having to try to convert the cocaine to crack.
So it was like a process. Like you had to learn how to
Oh yes,
do everything, even
Yes.
down to smoking it.
yes, and experience is a good teacher, but only if we decide to learn from it. And I hate that I had to learn from that experience, but overall, it still turned out to be a good experience because I'm not able to share experience, strength, and hope of how my life was, how it is now, and as long as I stay solidly grounded, how much better it can be.
Look, but that crack teacher, you learn quick.
You learn quick.
You learn quick on that
learn
crack. That
quick,
crack
but you
you
know
grow
what?
up.
I can tell you this. They say black people don't crack. The hell, if we smoke it, we crack up. And I can live the testimony that I did. And so, but I'm so glad now, Lou, that experience I had is actually now a stepping stone for somebody else to not go that route if they can help it.
And a lot of times we share about that part about growing up quick and the manipulation and all that stuff, and that's for identity purposes.
It's about identification.
When once we start smoking crack, we learn quick. You don't get nobody your money.
You will learn not to.
Yeah, you will learn not to. We smoking all day, and I give you my money to go.
Yes, and I love how we've got so much. We might have done it in different forms or whatever, but similarity in stories. I remember, Brother Lou, the abandoned houses, and I hate having these memories pop up out of the blue because I'm like, it's really 20. I'm gonna roughly say 25 plus years in my addiction. I'm counting it all. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Well, actually around 30, because if I count it in my mid-20s on up to my where I'm at today. Yes. Okay. I didn't taste recovery until I was age 47. So I'm gonna say around my early 20s. So we're looking at 25 years.
So now that we don't even care about no cocaine no more.
No.
We want some crack.
Yes, because it was that speed up feeling, instant gratification.
So now that are you working when you start smoking crack?
Let me see now. Working where was I at? I can't specifically remember, but if I was, yes, I was working, but it wasn't meaningful employment. It was just employment to get by, to feed the habit.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Yes, employment to get by, to feed the habit.
I did that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Nothing as prominent as my career is today. Back then, the best job that I remember having was at that golf course, and then anything after that, Brother Lou, it was like a little flyby job, just enough to support the habit, and feed the addiction.
So you said you was lying, manipulating, and all this stuff to get cocaine.
Yeah.
Was it worse when you got on?
Oh heck yeah!
How so?
Oh yeah!
How?
Your wallet wouldn't have been sitting in your pocket back then. You know what I mean? We'd become best friends for me in order to manipulate you the best of my ability, convince you that we were the best of friends ever since birth, and we probably wouldn't have known each other since birth. It was that kind of manipulation, Brother Lou. And then, as we before, and if you lost You assume you lost something. You didn't lose it. I took it and did my best to help you find it so I won't be a suspect. You know what I'm going at.
When we take it, we got to help you look for it until you stop looking.
Thank you. You see what I'm saying? Now, when there was cocaine, it didn't really do it like that. But when it became crack cocaine, Lou, then it was a complete change of personality. I mean, the old part of me, if there was any virtue in me, it dissipated. There was how you say it? There was nothing on the table that wasn't takeable.
So once you started getting crack, was your only mission in life?
Basically, it was. But you know what? As we shared about growing up, right? But if something was instilled inside of us as a youngin, the darkness of that world almost extinguished it. But then darkness can't extinguish the light, because deep down inside, there was always something inside of me knowing that I wasn't living the true me. I was just broken into pieces, hurt, shattered, but didn't know how to find a way to basically help heal myself.
Do you think it was more spiritual?
Yes, because listen, like I told you about my parents and stuff, right? And at age 16, I was baptized. I joined the local church, joined the choir and everything. See, that goes to show you, back then during my growing up years, I had ambitions and desires and goals. It's just that when becoming a young man and through the going back out into the street life, then all that got pushed to the back corner. Oh no, as I shared, my old substitute teacher, she's deceased now, rest her soul. She said, because I was going down the hill, what they call going down the hill. I was going down the hill, get cracked. And she said, Robert, I said, yes, ma'am. And I didn't want her to stop me because I was on a mission.
Yeah.
But she's in damn yard. And you know you have to stop in your neighborhood when them older folks call you. God, what the hell she's calling me? So I stopped. She said, I thought you said as a kid, because that goes to show how we talked about our old teachers. Yes. Right? So very influential. She said, I thought you said that you were going to college after high school. I said, I still am. I put it on the back burner. I just didn't turn the stove off. And because it was still inside of me, Louis, to do something better, I just didn't know how to get onto the road to do it.
So, were there any jails in your story?
Oh God, how many? Everywhere I lived, I went to jail. And you know where I went? Because I thought I was a professional shoplifter.
And every time you ended up in jail?
Yes, my record's expunged now, but I had my criminal records back then was about this high.
Shoplifting.
More than that. Basically shoplifting. I don't think it was no manufacturer or anything like that. Basically just shoplifting. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And today you realized that you wasn't a professional?
I know. I never was. It was that my disease of addiction told me that I could get away with murder, like Angela Lansbury, Murder, She Wrote.
So what's the longest that you stayed in jail?
90 plus days. In 2013, I was sentenced to SCDC.
Okay.
You know what that is? South Carolina Department of Correction.
Okay.
And I was sentenced on Valentine's Day.
So you went to prison?
I went to prison.
Okay.
Yes. I went to prison because I accumulated too many felonious shoplifting charges. Misdemeanors that became felony. And so the judge said, Mr. Pierce, I said, yes. He said, you seem to be a pretty good young man. And he said, I hate to do this to you, but I have to do something to help save your life. He said that I'm going to sentence you to 90 days at the South Carolina Department of Correction, concurrent with the time that I had already spent while waiting to get there.
Okay.
And he said, I'm doing this because I hope you find, after this, you find your way to a better pathway. And so on Valentine's Day, that was my Valentine's gift.
So, listen, to save your life, that means he loved you that much.
And I didn't see
Valentine's Day about love.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I got my Valentine's Day gift on Valentine's Day. I got so DC.
So all these trips to jail, going to prison, was there any kind of recovery in between, detox or anything in this time? Treatment, something?
They didn't really convey that kind of stuff when I was there. This was like in 2013. I didn't find recovery until 2015, 2 years later. But when I got out of prison, I still went back doing the same old
right
thing.
Back to the same.
Yes, the same old thing.
So I heard people often talk about it gets worse.
It does.
It does.
It does. Mm-hmm.
Was there anything that you did once you got out of prison that you didn't do prior to going? You're talking about it getting worse?
When I got out of prison and went to do the same, yes, I try to make a deal with God. I said, listen, if you let mama live, I promise you that I get my life together. But my plan to manipulate God did not work because mama ended up passing anyway. And so and that just infused more anger inside of me because as a kid I built up a lot of internal anger, and when it exploded, and then I imploded because all hell had broke loose with inside of me, which flowed on the outside. And so when I got out of prison, and nothing changed. I mean, it got worse because I did whatever I could to feed my disease of addiction.
Okay.
Crack call, and I kept answering.
And you answer every time.
Yeah.
So your mother passed away when you got out of prison.
A few months after I got out of prison.
And you didn't take that good at all.
No, I didn't. And you know what? I read something the other day in our meditation that talked about an emotional and spiritual change.
Yes.
And that's what I needed the most, Brother Luke, because when Mom passed, I really lost it. I got admitted for a nervous breakdown too.
Okay.
Because like I said, being the youngest, and the support, because Pop had passed 10 years earlier, and so Mom was the only matriarch still left in the family, the glue.
How was you and your Papa relationship?
Pop, good. He never called me anything but Robert Lee.
That's it.
Yeah, he never called me by that nickname.
Robert.
He always called me my first and my middle name.
But there was love and everything.
Very much love. So very much love.
Were you closer to your father or your mother?
I think equally.
Because
Pop did, like I said, you got to imagine old black man back then with 10 children trying to, be a parent too, and especially some of them hard-headed as hell.
And provide.
Yeah. But he provided the spiritual foundation. He used to teach us kids and make us get on our knees and pray.
But you were using while he passed stuff.
Yes, I was. He died next month, the 27th. And I was down the hill, so to speak, and I was using when he passed. But then, when health issues come along to loved ones, and as us addicts in that frame of mind, we try to ease the pain by still getting higher and higher, but that doesn't commute.
I did a podcast recently, and this guy and the person I did it with said that the drugs was there when there wasn't nobody there. Like it numbed. There was trauma there. He did drugs, and the trauma was gone. Like he didn't need no friends after that. He didn't need. All he needed was the drugs consoled him through that time. He had lost a loved one.
Okay, you mentioned the word console, and we know about comfort, right?
Okay.
Would we rather have true comfort or falsified comfort? My drugs only falsified comfort.
You know that today.
Yeah.
You didn't know that back then. There was no falsified. There was just comfort.
But all because I was spiritually blinded. I saw what the drugs allowed me to see. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
But now that I look back on it, Lou, the only comfort I need is the comfort from my higher power, whom I call God. But see, because back then, I was mad. I was angry. I was angry at everybody, including myself. Because remember I told you I was an ambitious little black kid. I felt I had allowed myself to step into a world where I got trapped and didn't see my way out of.
Okay.
And no parent want that for their child. You know that. Mom didn't want that for us. Dad didn't want that for us. But somehow or another, I got mudslide into it. You see what I'm saying? And didn't know how to evacuate myself.
So what year did your mom pass?
In February the 17th, 2014.
Okay.
A year
after you
got out of prison.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Were did you and your family, your brothers, you got sisters, you got 10 of them, did y'all grow closer or
not really? Because you've seen Medea's movie, right?
Okay.
About family members, especially black family members. We the glue was severed, and so each of us tried to find our own pathway to healing.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
But everybody was hurt.
Everybody was hurt. Not just the family, but the whole community, because mom and pop had a stellar reputation.
Okay.
They were, they were stellar reputation as far as like being, as people say, good people. Even though the children may have wandered astray, but mom and dad always tried to do unto others as they have been done unto them. Because they wasn't alcoholic or addict or anything. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No. No.
All right. So you're still using crack. You're still trying to find ways and means to get more.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to up and now? Because you're in recovery today.
Yes.
What happened to make you choose
recovery?
Yeah. What happened?
Okay.
What was going on?
Now we're in the year of 2015. Okay. I met Edward, right? But then I was still grasped by the disease of addiction. You see what I'm saying? And so when I met Edward, right, I was still in manipulation mode, right? And so what you do in the dark comes to the light.
Okay.
So I tried to keep my habit in the dark, but it came to the light. And so I met Edward, and then Christmas time of 2015. And so my disease of addiction, it called louder one evening. And so when it called, I tried to manipulate an answer to Edward, but then it would knew different. And so I ended up going back onto the street, right? But all things happen for a reason. So I was 47 years of age then. So I went back out into the street, and the purpose of, I see now the spiritual purpose of that, because it helped me get onto the path of recovery. I went back onto the street, and a young man my age then, 47, OD'd and died, just like, your neighbors and stuff right across the way. And the people that I was hanging with, they didn't think nothing of it. That guy, 47, OD'd and died. Alcoholism, I heard. And they just think no, they maybe like shrug it off by laughing. But I broke down. It was December the 23rd.
Okay.
Christmas season, and which can stir up emotions for some people. And plus my mom's birthday is December the 25th. And so I had gave away, you don't sell your personal belongings to drug dealers for the value, right? You give that shit away.
Okay.
I still have it now. I got it back. Ed got it back for me. A long black trench leather coat, valued like $180 something, $200. I gave it away, Brother Lou, for $20 of crack. And so my Christmas gift for my daughter, my granddaughter as well. Christmas gift I got for Ed. I gave all that away too.
So you gave away all your Christmas gifts,
all the materialistic possessions, right?
Drugs
not saying I sold them for the value that they were, but I gave them away. Even a nice pair of shoes I had on my feet.
Okay.
And so when that young man, it came through the neighborhood, that young man OD'd and died. I was already crying anyway, you know what I'm saying? Because emotional, at Christmas time, I missed my parents and stuff, and I just felt, okay, I might have blown the most earthly support that I found through Edward. And I was like, I was just torn, Lou. And so I cried, I snotted, not snort, but snotted, shit running like snot. And then when I heard that young man died, and everyone else didn't think anything about it, but it's just another death, I threw my right hand up, Lou, because I heard about recovery, but it came in and out, just as quick as it came in. I let it go back out because I've been in and out of treatment wherever I went, right?
What that meant to throw your hand up?
I said 3 words: God help me.
Okay, and what did you do?
I called Edward because I remembered all the times that I was in and out of treatment locally and abroad. H&I, hospital and institution, was coming in, sharing experience, strength, and hope. And I remembered, it dawned on me, okay, all those messages that I've heard about recovery through H&I, it has to have some kind of in-depth meaning. And so I threw my hands up, said 3 words: God help me. And I called Edward. I said, I'm ready for a new way. And so he said,
did he come?
But first he said, if you ask lying, you ain't staying. And so, but he did come. And the next day, I called the treatment center right here in Conway. Okay. And he took me there, and I got admitted. But guess what? I might have walked through there physically, but spiritually I ran through there because I knew, Brother Lou, I had enough. You see what I'm saying?
And what year was this?
In 2015.
Okay, you walked through the treatment facility in your soul, mind, body, everything. You was done.
I was done because I knew that young man dying could have been me.
Okay.
Because you know what it said. It's sad to say that some people have to die in order for others to live.
Okay.
And so, yes. And then that little boy in me sparked up again about my ambitions. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I was already 47. 30 years later, 29 plus 30 some years later from high school, what have I done with my life? Yeah. I did not go to college as I was registered to. What did I do with my life? It was as if the scales fell from my eyes, Lou. I saw how fast time had done shot by, and I've done nothing but gotten high.
So, and you're thinking about this in treatment?
I thought about this when
you've been thinking about it.
Yes, throughout the years I've been thinking about it, but like I said, I didn't know how to help myself.
So you're in treatment. How long did you stay in treatment?
The whole 28 days.
You stayed in treatment 28 days in 2015. What did you do when you got out of treatment?
Went straight to a meeting because the former sponsor, that man was still 8 years later. When I first started going into treatment in 2008, and in 2015, 7 years later, right, the same old crew was still coming in there talking about recovery. And so it dawned on me, Lou, I remember this man these people from 7 years ago, and if they're still doing this type of living 7 years later, what's happening and working for them, I have a chance too. So I decided to give myself a Kit Kat break, baby.
Okay, so you got your so you go in, like you go into your first meet, well, not your first meeting, but you go into after you leave the treatment facility, you go into a meeting, a recovery meeting, and what happened?
I introduced myself as Robert, and I am an addict.
And that changed your life.
I started to become honest, open-minded, and willing about taking suggestions and learning how other people can live life without smoking crack.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
All right.
Because I told you, I knew I was on basically on a death train track. I just didn't know how to tell the dang on conductor to stop and let me off this train. You feel what I'm saying?
But you knew it was crashing.
I knew it was crashing.
I
couldn't get off because there was evident when that young man died, Lou, my same age. That was evident enough right there for me. It was time to remember what I heard in treatment centers about people can live without the use of drugs.
So you believe that these people inside of this recovery, the self-help group that you went to and say, my name Robert and I'm an addict, you believe that they could help you?
I had no other choice but to believe, because I saw that it was evidential, because from their personal story that I heard them share, I identified with the similarities, not the differences. I heard my story being spoken out of somebody else's mouth.
Were you beaten? Were you beaten?
Beaten in more ways than one. Mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially.
You was whooped.
I was whooped. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because the little things that I tried to acquire to feel self-sufficient, it went elsewhere.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So you raise your hand. My name Robert. I'm an addict. What happened after that?
After that, well, I had talked to my former sponsor while doing H&I, and he suggested, as we say, just come to a meeting after you get out, and we'll go from there. Okay. And that's how it all began.
So now you on that road to recovery.
Yeah, and plus I had a lust. There's a difference between love and lust, Brother Lou. I wasn't just in love with crack cocaine. I lusted it. And so I lost that lustful taste for it, and everything that goes along with addiction. You see what I'm saying? For hanging with the finding ways of me to get more. I just got tired, Lou. And plus I was getting old. I was about to be 48 years of age. So when I got out, clarity started to come to me. Okay. And I remember what my old substitute teacher asked me when I was going down the hill to get crack. About going to college. Yeah. And so because I started going to college before I started with the cocaine, but then when the cocaine came in, I dropped out of that too.
You went to the School of Hard Knocks.
I decided to try to graduate from the School of Hard Knocks.
Okay.
And I also, like I said, with the finding ways of meaning more, I used financial aid money just to feed my addiction. Okay. Because that goes to show you how out of control it was.
So now you're these meetings, they're becoming, these recovery self-help groups, they're becoming a regular thing.
Yes, sir. Okay. Repetitive.
So in the beginning, so did you meet new friends?
The best people that I can say, besides the ones that I left behind, because nobody was out to steal my wallet. And I didn't want to steal nobody else's wallet. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
So in the beginning of this meeting, you said that you had 18 months. And
next month, 24th
will be
Christmas
18 months.
Eve. Be 18 months.
But you walked into your first meeting, not your first meeting, into a meeting in 2015.
In 2015, yeah.
That was 8 years ago.
Almost, 8 years ago. Mm-hmm.
What happened? Why don't you have 8 years?
Because I had relapsed twice. And you remember I told you what I shared about an emotional and spiritual change? It's about the drugs, but then it's not all about the drugs either. Okay. Because my emotional and spiritual change got damaged when growing up in UCLA.
So how long did you? And okay, so if they got damaged, so how long did you stay in recovery from 2015 to what?
5 years and 9 months.
Okay, to 5 years, but you still had that emotional damage from
Yes,
UCLA.
because I felt that with the drugs gone, then everything would seem to be perfect. But no, trauma. You talk about trauma. Trauma goes back way before my drug use.
Okay.
As a kid, being molested, I never dealt with that. Through outside resources, I'm being able to deal with that now as well. And then trying to get in where I fit in and validation from other people. That stunted my emotional and spiritual growth as well. But however, God never let me down even when I turned my back, Luke.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Through all of that, from growing up into addiction and now into recovery, I've been spared. And you know what they say, once you taste recovery, truly taste like we have tasted it, you know what I'm saying?
Can't lose that taste.
You can't untaste it, you know what I'm saying? Because when I did go back out there, you know, the question we ask ourselves, who addicts who have gone back out there and thank God made it back, what have I done? And I'm not the only one that asked myself that, but there was few that I know that have relapsed and gotten back, asking, what have I done? And what have we done to ourselves?
So
that because you tasted it and you can't untaste it.
So hold on, because I want to touch on something else. You said you had got molested as a kid.
Yes, at age 12.
Okay. How did that make you feel? As a 12-year-old.
I was sworn to secrecy, Lou. And
was it a family member or
friend of the family? But I can tell you this, I had to keep that secret, not just to keep my sexual identification concealed, but to keep hell from breaking loose. Because
hell would have broke loose.
And didn't I say you I'm the youngest out of 10?
I'm saying though, okay, see, here's the thing. Okay, so you know something, you told me you know something is different about you. Okay, that's as far as your sexuality. But even though you know this at 12 years old, was it consensual? What this? You don't know what consent. Hold on. I said that wrong. You don't even know what consent.
No, let me tell you, because growing up fast as a young kid, I thought I knew what consensual was. Okay. I even shared it through therapy. And you know what? And what you were just about to say, even those professionals said, you were a damn kid. You ain't know what consensual was. What we knew back then was called puppy love. Okay. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yes. And so, but in order to keep the peace, Lou, I kept my mouth shut.
Okay, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I kept my mouth shut.
Yeah. So, okay. So those feelings that you say, those emotional feelings as an adult in recovery, 5 years and 9 months.
And so spiritual feelings.
So you didn't deal with those emotional spiritual feelings throughout the 5 years and 9 months? You didn't deal with it?
Not really. I felt that, there was nothing to deal with. I felt there was nothing to deal with, that I had grown past all of that as a kid.
You thought?
I thought I left the kid stuff in kid zone, Okay. But being a Toys R Us kid, we sometimes still are in our heart. Because sometimes we just don't want to grow up. But then the only way we don't grow up is we don't deal with the issues at hand.
So after 5 years and 9 months, what made you go? I mean, you done told me emotional damage stuff that you unaddressed
and unprocessed issues.
Yeah. So you went back, like the day you decided that you were gonna go get high again. What was going on in your mind, in your life?
In my mind, in my
No, hold on. I'm sorry. Was life still beautiful?
Yes.
And good?
Yes, but I became spiritually blind again because I lost the conscious contact with the God of my understanding. I stopped praying. I stopped doing my step work. I stopped going to meetings. I tried to play catch up, and I ain't talking about Hines. At my age then, I felt I needed to be further along in life because my high school graduates, they were retiring, and I'm just getting started.
Okay.
In my late dang on 40s.
I can relate.
For early, about to approach half of a century, and the regrets and the resentment of what I allowed to have happen to me took hold. Yes.
So so you go back out. Was it bad?
It wasn't good. It was not good because the worst whipping that I had was I put it on myself.
So
Society can't beat your ass worse than you can beat your own ass.
no, never can.
No, because when three words, what have I done? Because I remember from graduating high school and my life went in an opposite direction, but with a meaning. And then those four words came back to me again because I knew I was on a good pathway, and I allowed the slipping of the feet.
Okay, so
you kind of feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you go back out and use how did Edward take it?
We did many people great harm, right? But most of all, we harmed ourselves. And the disease of addiction is not just a singular.
It don't just affect us.
No, it affects everybody around us.
Okay.
And everybody that love us. Even these old white people in our neighborhood say that I hurt them to the core of their heart when they heard that I had a relapse. And see, but I didn't think that, I didn't think the disease of addiction didn't want me to think that I was hurting anybody but myself.
See, because now the thing is, when people go back out, we really don't know in our heart that they're gonna make it back. We don't know.
Yeah. And but you know what? Listen, and I'm not suggesting it. All I can say is that it was one of the gravest mistakes that I've done to myself again. As far as like when I didn't pursue a more positive life instead of the life of addiction. And so, but I got 25 years, I knew I had enough, but then the retasting of it only confirmed that enough was enough.
So how long did you stay out there this time? You stayed clean 5 years, 9 months, went out.
Okay. 90 days first time, 60 days the second time.
So you stayed out for 90 days and then you came back to recovery. Did you go to treatment this second time, or
I went to treatment both times?
You went to treatment. How long did you stay in treatment?
California was
just the second time.
First time. California.
No, first time was in Conway.
Oh, the treatment? No, I went to treatment.
Well, after you left Conway, you stayed clean 5 years and 9 months.
Yes.
Then you relapsed.
And I went to Culver City, California.
And then you went to California
for maybe 60, a little bit over 60 days.
Okay.
Because one of our friends, he had passed away, well, two of them passed away while I was out there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when I came back, I stayed clean 90 days, and then I relapsed.
So what went on that second time when you left California? What was going on with
I still put everything else before my recovery. And as an old timer that we know of shared that anything you put before your recovery, you'll lose. I had gotten in a career employment, and I put that career employment before recovery. I told you, I shared, I stopped going to meetings. I stopped calling my sponsor. I stopped praying. I stopped doing service work and everything. Anything else that's to distract me so I can felt I needed to play catch up, Luke.
So what I hear is you got to
busy
surround your life around your recovery. Your recovery got to come first.
Yes, and
like your recovery got to come before your job, your family, your friends, and everything.
And it's called balancing it all out. But today, I have learned how to equate balance. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm back employed in my career field of study, human services, as we both are. But guess what? I'm not playing Heinz ketchup any damn more. Trust me, because my God always supplied my needs according to his riches. So what, because I felt like I told you about the graduation from high school and stuff, and all my other classmates, they had already, went to college and got careers. Almost retired. What the hell am I doing at my age now and still ain't retired? Well, and so I've learned, that's whatever you say experience is a good teacher. I have learned it ain't about a rat race, Luke.
They might be retiring, Robert, but the thing is, you still got a shot. A lot of people ain't got this other shot.
And I know that, but guess what? As my current sponsor, WeChat, I'm not in comparison mode. I will not try to compare myself to anybody else or feel validated by anybody else again. Mm-hmm. As long as I got a roof over my head, clothes on my back, food to eat, water to drink, the necessities of life
and recovery,
I am doing fine.
You're doing
fine. You see what I'm saying? Yes, and the most beautiful thing is that I'm able now to give back my experience, strength, and hope, and make amends by a living amends. It felt so good today to be in worship service, sing a song, a talent that my disease of addiction tried to take away from me, but I grew up in a musical talent family, and to have my loved ones there, Ed was there, my daughter was there, my grandkids didn't come because it's nasty outside, and also to have people who believe in you, the new us. You see what I'm saying? Even a friend from a newscast station came to give support. You know why? Because they all know my testimony for being an addict to a grateful recovery.
Everybody got a story,
and that's what I'm saying.
Everybody got a story.
Everybody got a story. But you know what I classify, man, as a testimony? Because I'm a living one. Yeah. I've had some death-defying experiences and still live to tell it. You see what I'm saying? Because twice, I say this and I let it go, my brother. Went back out there twice, right? You know where it's strike one, strike two? What is strike three?
What they say, you strike out.
Hey.
So, strike three out, man.
Yes, and so that just goes to show you, brother, why I have to remain vigilant and grateful. Because I'm half a century old, Brother Lou, and I ain't got time for that anymore.
So I'm sitting here and I've just heard you your story, and I know they call you Grateful Robert, and I see why they call you grateful. I see why you're so grateful.
You know the depthness of it. I won't put all that out there just yet, but
I see why you're so
sharing your story. And not only that, survive the cold blue.
You did survive a cold. So you was at the hospital.
You know what a cold blue is?
Cold, yeah.
Yeah, survive the cold blue. Out about experiencing everything. And live to tell the story. But guess what?
What's that?
That goes to show you, the disease of addiction is powerful, cunning, and baffling, right?
The disease of addiction.
But my hand that's in the hand of the God that I understand is more powerful. Because when I went back, when I had the cold blue call and had to learn how to walk again, everything, Lou, do you know what my disease of addiction did? When I learned how to walk again?
Walked you right down the hill.
On crutches.
Walked you right down the hill.
On crutches. You kind of feel what I'm saying? And this was in 2002, but lo and behold, God still kept me here. 90 days after I learned how to walk again, I walked to go get crack on crutches. And you know what? I told you that I accumulated a lot of nicknames. You know, one of my nicknames was back then, dead man walking. So I was the walking dead before that show ever came out. You see what I'm saying? But that goes to show you, if there's a purpose for your life, it will come to fruition if we just stay the course.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, now you know it's past my bedtime.
All right, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you. Welcome, my brother Lou. God bless you. Because there's what? Ain't no days off. Ain't no days off.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, brother Lou. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You are a mess in 3/4.
All right. How you Robert? So
yes,
all right. So can you share your personal experience with HIV and how it has impacted your life?
Okay. When we at our first segment, I shared to you about the code blue, right? The code blue, that's called. Okay, the reason it became a code blue is because when I got addicted to specifically crack cocaine, right? Trying to recapture the single life, I became promiscuous because of the disease of addiction to crack cocaine controlled everything about me, especially my mental capacity. And so I ended up developing AIDS, which turned into full-blown AIDS, what they call full-blown AIDS back then. This is the time that when it was the highest epidemic on the market, so to speak. And so
when was this? When did you find out specifically?
Late 90s.
That's when you found out you were HIV positive.
Not HIV positive, full-blown AIDS.
Yeah, full-blown AIDS.
Full-blown AIDS, what the medical terminology was called, full-blown AIDS, the late 90s. And so, but I knew what my symptoms were and what I probably had and what I did have. I just was in a state of denial.
Okay, so how did you first become aware? Like you knew, but as far as medically, when did they say, okay, this is what you got? How did you first become aware that you of your HIV status?
Because if you remember, I shared that I had taken some college classes before. And so we did some presentation in sociology. And so, that's when I learned about crack cocaine, because I took some rocks off the street to present, and my hand shook like a son of a gun. And we also learned about, this is like when HIV AIDS hit the market, and we learned about AZT, which was a drug that was supposedly non-life threatening but life-saving. And so even in 1987, we started learning about this stuff in high school. And so, but I studied enough academically wise to knew about the symptoms. And so when I knew that I was out there in the street and became promiscuous, and I started to develop some of the symptoms, you know.
Late 90s.
Late 90s. And I was stuck in my disease of addiction, and I started to develop symptoms, weight loss, loss of appetite, what they call thrush of the throat. And so, but I went from place to place, you know, county to county, so to speak, you know, because wherever I went, my disease went with me until I got to Charleston homeless shelter, Meeting Street. Back then, now I don't know if it still existed. And then I had developed the carposes and stuff on my arm. I lost weight.
The what on your arm?
Called carposes.
What are those?
Little patch marks.
Okay.
And then, but the full extent of it is when I had developed pneumonia, double pneumonia. This was back when they had pay phones.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Pay booth, pay phone. So I sat by the pay phone, and I said to myself, because I was tired of running, Brother Lou, you know, in the streets, getting high and everything. And I said, I'm ready to go home by the fake pay phone. And so
When you say home, what did you mean home?
Coming back to UCLA.
Okay.
And so, but when you just emphasize home, a voice whispered in my ear, and it wasn't a human voice, said, you might be going home to die. But I shook it off. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew what I had.
Full blown.
I knew what I had because I was that smart enough to know my health status.
Okay.
And I knew what my symptoms were. And so I just shook it off, and I called mom and my family, and they came to get me from the payphone booth. I was still sitting inside the payphone booth on the sidewalk. And so they came to get me. And so I came back home. I did some work and everything, construction work, and then I ended up getting real sick. Double pneumonia. And so no one knows their child like a mom's intuition. So mom said, take my baby to the hospital. So I went to one facility, and I was diagnosed with having bronchitis. But I knew I had more than bronchitis. So 2 weeks later, I got even sicker. The double pneumonia had set in. I could hardly breathe in anything. And so mom said, take it back. So they took me to another hospital. And when I got to the hospital, I knew what the emergency room physician was going to tell me. So he comes back into the room, and he says, Mr. Pierce, I said, yes. He said, you want me to tell you the diagnosis in front of your family member? I said, sure, tell him. Because I already knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? And he said, you have full-blown AIDS. And so I just dropped my head. That was kind of like
so let's stop
concrete confirmation.
What were your thoughts and emotions at that? You knew because you that smart what you had, but when a doctor confirmed it, was it something in you saying, gosh, I hope that ain't it though? I hope I'm wrong.
No, it wasn't shocking me.
Okay.
Because I knew.
So what was your thoughts and emotions at that time with your family when he told you?
Because I told him to go ahead because I knew what I knew.
Yeah.
And what his concrete medical confirmation was just concreted on top of what I knew. And so I said, sure. And I felt kind of like nonchalant, but not as a not caring point. It was just like, okay, it's finally out. Relief.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so he said, well, we're going to admit you. We're going to have to immediately admit you. And so they did. And then one of my niece, she just comforted me, and my sister comforted me, said, it's going to be all right. But then back then now, if you can remember, it was called a death sentence.
Early 90s.
It was called dying.
Late 90s.
Late 90s. It was called dying from. Today it's called living with. So I said, so they admitted me, and that was on a Sunday night. And on a Tuesday, I had to have a biopsy because I had so much abdominal pain. And so on the way going to the examination room, my eyelids started blinking uncontrollably. Something else I learned about pre-death stages with some people. And so I did this, try to stop it from blinking. They wouldn't stop, but I was still in high spirits, joyful little person as I always was. And so when we got to the examination room, the anesthesiologist on my left-hand side, my second oldest sister on my right-hand side. And so the anesthesiologist, and I'm laying down on the bed, and he says, we're going to give you something so we can run the tube down your throat to see why I was in so much abdominal pain. I said, fine. And so I'm looking at him as he's getting ready to inject me, right? And before he could touch me, I had an out-of-body experience. My breath left my body, and I knew I was not in it. My second oldest sister on the right-hand side, the anesthesiologist on the left-hand side. So when I came to myself, Brother Lou, I was on my hands and knees, and I was up there in space on my hands and knees, but my physical body was laying in bed. And so I looked to the left, I looked to the right, I didn't see the darkness of stars, but I knew I was not in my body. And I said, Lord, where am I at now? And when I said that, I looked straight up off my hands and knees and in the doorway. That's why I saw the God of my understanding. And I went into prayer. If it's your will, not yet, let me live a little while longer to spend time with my mom and my daddy, my brother and sisters, and see my daughter grow of age. Because my daughter was only 13 years of age then.
Okay.
And today she's 33. So that was 21 years ago. And so, and I can remember just like it was yesterday. And so I prayed and prayed and prayed.
So they told you. So when you so you prayed, you came back.
I came back,
and
back in my body.
They told you that you had the doctors even say that you went to a cold blue.
Yeah, they called it cold blue. Because when that happened, when my soul left my body, they immediately called it cold blue.
So all right, so you stay in the hospital, you get back more healthier and all this stuff somewhat. Have you had to face any challenges managing your HIV?
At first I did. Because I was still in the full-blown stage age. I had a handful of damn pills I had to take every day. But now it's just one a day pill. And it would make me sick, especially if I had to take it on, if I took it on an empty stomach. But also there were pain medication given to me. Okay. And so me being the tough person that I thought I was, you know what I did with the pain medication? Sold them, some of them for money to accumulate. So when I did get better, I could buy my drug of choice. Okay. And so that's what I told you when I had to learn how to walk again for 90 days. I walked down the street to get crack.
So compared to when you first heard about HIV when you didn't have it to when you finally found out that you did have it, what changed as far as your mindset?
I started to have regrets. Part of that emotional devastation and spiritual devastation that was unprocessed and unaccepted. See, all of this came into play of trying to validate myself through myself, but always felt I needed to be validated by others.
So there was a lot of. So before you was actually diagnosed with it yourself, when you heard about it or someone else having it, was there any stigma?
No, because I always have been a compassionate person. That's why I'm so glad that Destiny and I met in human services, being able to help serve others. That's a compassionate feeling. You know this, right? Yeah. So, but when those that have contracted it and thus passed on before I ever did, I never judged anybody, because who the heck am I to try to judge somebody? You see what I'm saying? I've always had compassion for people.
So, can you discuss any stigmas or misconceptions you have encountered regarding HIV since you have
back then?
That you have had with other people that know of your diagnosis? Have you encountered any?
Not all. Some are more acceptable now because it's not called dying from. Now it's called living with. It's a whole different ballgame, because back then they didn't have so much as adequate treatment. Today it's one a day pill, and being undetectable, I can stay undetectable as long as I comply to take my medication as prescribed.
So sitting here today, you're undetectable.
Very much so.
What makes a person undetectable?
When your CD4 count is more than 200, that means your white blood cells. And when your viral load is less than 20, viral load is the amount of infection you have in your body. The CD4 count is similar to the white blood cells that help fight off infection.
So can a person that's undetectable have unprotected sex with a partner?
You can, but you know what? It's your own personal choice to be advised. But the medication that is prescribed today, you cannot contract HIV from an undetectable person. But to be personally on a safe side, I would suggest to always be
safe.
It's safer than sorry. So okay, you know what I'm saying. But being undetectable means a person can only be prescribed a one a day pill and hopefully if there's no other any impending health issue, you know what I'm saying, that it's livable with now, Lou. It's not like it was back when it hit the market in the mid 80s on up to the late 2000s, where it was kind of mid 2000s, yes, when it was deemed a death sentence. It was called dying from.
So, but today you're not dying from.
No,
you're
sir.
living with.
It's called living with.
Okay, so
living with.
To someone out there, because you never know where this is gonna go. To someone out there that may have just gotten the news that they have HIV, what would you tell them? Look into the camera.
I would say seek out medical attention, follow through from your medical provider, and just know that it is livable with. It's not a death sentence anymore. People, just like with certain other medical conditions, if treated and treated correctly, we can live and live a productive, joyous life. I have HIV. HIV doesn't have me because I have graduated with my bachelor's degree in human services. I am currently employed in a recovery field. I am healthy. I have a healthy appetite. I am loved. I love myself. You can't get no more productive than that.
So what about them educating themselves?
And also, yes, definitely, good point. The more we know, the more we grow. So learn to educate ourselves each and every opportunity we get about what may be personal for the betterment of our development. Yes.
Okay.
Just don't give up the fight.
So are there resources or organizations that's helpful for people out there?
Yes. There are resources such as first start with the medical facility, which would actually give you all the current resources available, but also you can research on your own. There are magazines that are published directly for those of us living with HIV as far as encouragement wise. There are pamphlets and stuff at any medical facility that house the cases for HIV statuses. The help is available more so now than it ever was in the past. It's all about delving into what you want to learn to find out about your health condition and how it is manageable.
When you first got diagnosed, I know you knew you had it before you got diagnosed. Well, since you have been diagnosed, when you first got diagnosed, did you care more about disclosing it, or like just keeping it to yourself? Not like, when did you get comfortable with, you know what, I'm living with it. It is what it is. When did you get comfortable with it?
When this healthy Black nurse came in, and I was dealing with acceptance of it. And she came in, and you wouldn't think that she was positive because she looked so much. She was so healthy and beautiful in her physique. She says, because I was distraught, because I had also thought that, okay, all right, I'm at the end of my lifeline now.
Okay.
So she came in and she says, Robert, listen, she says, this is not a death sentence because we live just day with illnesses and stuff. And I didn't figure out what she was saying until she said, I'm HIV positive. But I mean, she was thick boned and she was educated and she was in her career zone. You see what I'm saying? Okay. And I looked at her, and even one of my physicians back then said this when I had gotten out of the hospital and started getting into a medical program to learn how to get better. Okay. And the doctor said, you're one of the ones we're not gonna let fall through the crack. Because see, emotionally wise, I was distraught, Lou. I didn't see nowhere else to go because society has shunned everybody, not just locally, but all over the globe. You know how they treated people back then.
What are some prevention methods?
Prevention method is youth protection, PrEP. There are medications out there.
What's PrEP?
PrEP is medication or either an injection before that you can take to prevent from getting HIV.
Okay.
PrEP is a pre-measurement where you take it either you can't have HIV and take PrEP. You have to be non-HIV and to get PrEP in case you do sleep with someone who may be HIV positive and it won't be transmitted.
So you don't take PrEP if you were sleeping with somebody that wasn't HIV positive. They are the ones that would take PrEP.
The person who is not HIV positive would be taking PrEP. And then if they slept with someone who is HIV positive, that it's not transmissible.
Okay. So you got safe sex, you got PrEP.
And most important, get educated.
Get educated. Okay. Because a lot of well, I just hugged you? Do that mean that I'm HIV positive?
No.
So
that just means that damage we got shared a brotherly love.
What if my sweat or some spit get on?
No. But see, it is transmitted through unprotected sexual contact. A mother can transmit it from her to her fetus, yes. And blood transfusion. Okay. Other than that, that's it. But now blood transfusion is now actually run through a database system where it is checked out for the HIV antibody. Okay. You can't give blood if you're HIV positive either.
Okay.
Yes. And you shouldn't, because you never. I mean, it would be like intentionally trying to infect somebody.
How often do you recommend people that are sexual active get tested?
Every 6 months. Because the virus usually will show up within a 6 months time frame.
Okay. Let's see. That's the last question. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to share about your journey with HIV, or any message you would like to convey to others?
Yes, HIV or not HIV, just love each other, because love actually what makes the world go round. I didn't need, because when I became positive, I felt I was unlovable until I started learning how to love myself. First, I had to remember God still loves me. It was just up to me to start loving myself. And if anybody else didn't, oh well, that sounds like OPP, other people's problem.
But it's a lot of people living with it the day that's scared and afraid to let someone know or let someone in, and they not taking care of themselves.
That's when.
How do you overcome that fear?
Make a decision to be bold, brave, and bodacious about living, and not concerning ourselves to be validated by other people's opinion. Right. Because it's all about your life and my life and maybe, our lives together,
and maybe saving somebody else's life.
Saving somebody else's life as well.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
Hey, thank you. And closed mind won't have an open mind if it don't know how to open it up.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you again, brother Lewis. I love you, my brother.
I love you, man.
I love you.
It's always a pleasure, man.
I'm going
Great
home.
Job. All right.
Getting out of your house. Ain't no days off.
Ain't no days off.